All right, welcome everyone, and I am back. So it's been a long time since I've been able to do a live stream because I got this YouTube content strike. And if you guys want to hear that story, I'm certainly happy to talk about it again. I have talked about it a few times in the past already. But yes, I am now back. I am able to live stream once again. And not only am I able to live stream, but I'm actually on a new computer, guys. So I had to completely reset my Open Broadcaster. So please, please, please let me know right away if there's any problems with the audio. You know, sometimes with OBS, the audio is out of sync with the video. I already set the delay to 1,000 milliseconds, so my audio is manually set 1 second behind my video. Hopefully that is not a problem. That's what I had to do on my last computer anyways. This is a brand new computer, so maybe it's fine now. Oh, audio sync is off. Voice and video is not synced. All right, well, hang on a second. Let me do I was afraid of that because, whoops. Advanced, let me take off the offset. Just put it to 0. Close. Okay, I have now said yes, audio is off. Okay, so I was afraid of that. How about now? So now, let me know now if the audio is still off. Maybe my last computer just wasn't powerful enough to do all of the streaming at the same time, and now my new computer is. But look at that. So that's amazing. So now it says it's back in sync. So my new computer is freaking awesome, and I love it. It is a Core i7 8700K. I've got a GTX 1080 video card and all sorts of good stuff. Let me bring in the chat here so we can see all the folks that are, there we go. Last computer was awful, confirmed. No, listen, my last computer wasn't awful. It was just old. It was a 4th generation i5 with like mismatched RAM and stuff. So now I have a much better system. And I am very happy with it, especially when it comes to editing. Boy, my video editing now, and the rendering is amazing. Premiere Pro, I don't know if any of you guys are into editing, but Premiere Pro just released this thing where you can now do, here, I'll bring this over here. Let me show my desktop. Oops. Where's my, how come I can't do, where's my hotkeys not working? There we go. Okay, so if you look at this now, so I have 2 separate GPU graphs here. I've got GPU 0, and I have the NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1080. The funny thing here is that this is the onboard graphics of the 8700K, the i7 8700K, and Premiere Pro will now utilize that extra stuff, the extra graphics card on the chip, in its rendering. So you can not only use the GeForce GTX 1080, but you can also use the integrated chip in the Intel processor to do exporting of videos and stuff. And it's way faster. It's awesome. But anyway, so now I've got a matched memory. I've got a Samsung, what is it? The Evo 960 M.2, 500 gig M.2 is my boot drive. I've got 2 separate SSDs in here. One is for my working folder, one is for my media cache, and then I've got a storage drive and a backup USB 3.0 external drive for backups and stuff. So, man, I have decked this thing out. And you look at the CPUs, they're, yeah, here we go. Intel 8700K at 3.7 gigahertz. I got a really, really good deal on it, too. Oh, Winston says he needs help. Let's help Winston. Winston, what can we do for you, my friend? You know, I started a build video on this computer, and so when I try to do these videos, let me bring my screen back up here. I have to have Open Broadcaster selected in order to switch between my scenes. That's kind of silly. So I think it was the Samsung 960 Pro, Bob, just FYI. It was whatever the best 960 is out there. But I started to do a build video of this computer, and I actually did like half of it. I got it, you know, to the point where I explained my whole hard drives and this and that. And then, I don't know, with my videos, I kind of try to tell a story, and so that had a story. It was me, you know, building, you know, the computer. So I guess it kind of had a story, but you know, when I get right down to it, it almost just seems like it was just like bragging. It was just like, oh, look at this new computer I got. You know, which is, I don't know. To me, it didn't make for interesting YouTube content, so I'm not gonna release that footage. I got plenty of stuff to do videos on, including like, I just got it, you know, this new pair of the NanoStation 5 ACs. I've got this video about halfway done. I just have to benchmark these things and, you know, put them outside and run speed tests and stuff. So again, plenty to do, and I don't need to do the build video. So Nacho Libre, what was the content strike about? I've talked about this in the past, but basically I put up a video a long time ago called How to Steal Your Neighbor's Wi-Fi. And it was just a clickbait title. I wasn't actually showing how to break Wi-Fi or, you know, hack into anyone's Wi-Fi or anything like that. But people complained about that video, and they gave me a content strike. So I wasn't able to live stream for 90 days, and I think that was just lifted a few days ago. Yeah, anyways, that's about it. So I did bring up some questions. If you guys have questions, go ahead and put those in the comments. I will try to answer them as I can, and I did bring my own questions to the table as well. So let's go ahead and switch over and start going through some of my questions. And let's see, here we go. Okay, so, all right, first question. This is gonna be hard to see for you guys, but I will read it off. Any videos of EdgeRouter 4 coming soon? Yes, I imagine you mean 4 and 6, and yes. Okay, so here we go. James Holbrook writes, this is on the Ubiquiti Mesh wireless video. I thought Mesh was supposed to be able to talk to each other, so you have a smoother handoff, so plugged in is a good thing, right? I don't exactly know what you're saying, but I think you have, I think you're misinterpreting what Mesh is. So Mesh is used for when you can't get a wire out to a location, right? So when you have, it doesn't facilitate easier handoff for your devices between wireless access points. It allows you to create a wireless grid of antennas. Oh, I should probably put my phone on Do Not Disturb. Oh boy. You know what? I'll just unplug it. There we go. And I'll unplug this one as well. I think that audio is coming right through the, I should probably close my Bria too. But I'm telling you, I haven't live streamed in 3 months, so it's been, it's been a while. Let me close my Bria soft phone. Where is that thing? Exit. Okay. No more interaction. Yeah, I know that was very loud. Sorry, guys. Hang on. Let me crank down my desktop audio. Like I said, I had to reconfigure Open Broadcaster from scratch this morning because I haven't live streamed in so long, and this is a new computer. So, at any rate, so mesh antennas are made for. So I like to think of like a football stadium, right? Where maybe you've only have a wired access point on one side of the football stadium, and then you can't wire the rest of the access points. So then you just sort of litter them through the stadium, and they all talk to each other to provide, it's basically like a smart grid of repeaters, if you will. So it doesn't really facilitate easier handoff for your devices. It just allows you to create a grid of wireless access points that aren't necessarily wired. We did this huge mesh installation last year where we had to wire up, or not wire up because there wasn't wires, but we had to get Wi-Fi to a 7-mile stretch of beach on a remote island in Indonesia. Okay, so one of our guys, Brandon might pop onto the stream at some point, but Brandon had gone out and actually gone to Indonesia. It took him 3 days to get there, and we had to set up 110 mesh access points. So we basically had an omnidirectional antenna that was on a barge offshore that was anchored down so that it wasn't, you know, moving around too much. We were beaming from nanostation to nanostation to that barge and then out the omnidirectional antenna to cover as much of the coastline as we possibly could. And then we had a bunch of stations. I think it was 17 different stations of something that was picking up the signal from the omnidirectional antenna. And then you had a Mesh Pro. And then on each side, you had 2 additional mesh access points. It was an amazing setup. It worked really, really well. And we were going to do a video on it. But, you know, when Brandon had done the design for that project, he laid out, okay, you know, there's 17 different sets of like nanostation access point, separate mesh access points on the side. And he mapped them all out so that, you know, this is one pod, if you will, and then here's another pod and another pod, another pod, times 17. And they were all pre-configured to all work together. We shipped everything out there, and they had locals, whoever was the local workers they had, set everything up, and they completely disregarded Brandon's plan, the setup plan. So basically, we had 110 mesh access points that were just thrown in willy-nilly, and weren't actually where they were supposed to be. So he walked into quite the cluster on that remote island after 3 days of travel to get out there, and luckily was able to get the whole thing under control and fixed. But it was, man, it was a mess. So he did not have any time to film anything, unfortunately, and so we lost what could have been a really good video, but it was still a project that ended up being successful in the long run. David Barger is on. Hey, David, how you doing? David and Brandon and I, actually all three of us, will be in Los Angeles next week for a really exciting another project that we're going to be doing. So we'll have a video coming out on that in the next month or so. So I'm looking forward to going to LA next week and getting some hands-on experience with some really cool point-to-point, or I should say point-to-multipoint stuff. Okay, so that's the mesh question. Let's move on to another question here. So this question comes from Jose Luis Pasaye, and this is on the Raspberry Pi Wi-Fi video that I did, how to set up Wi-Fi on the Raspberry Pi 3. And he says, is this the same for the Pi 2? And the answer is no. So the Pi 2 did not have integrated Wi-Fi. The Pi 2 is, you have to have a separate Wi-Fi dongle. Usually it's a USB dongle that plugs in to get Wi-Fi on a Pi 2. Okay, so a couple of questions came in. Oh, hey, Zach, how you doing? Good to see you. Kevin Bright asks, how do you get the CyberData paging speaker to accept multicast pages from the CyberData paging server? Yealink T46S phones subscribe to the same multicast stream work perfectly. So I think it just has to do with your multicast IP addressing and port, right? So as long as you have the device listening on the correct port and multicast IP, it should work fine. Although I don't know if I've ever tried to do multicast from the paging server to a paging speaker, or the paging adapter. I assume that's what you're talking about. Anyways, so Paul Williams asks, what are your thoughts on the UniFi switch shortage? Have you been affected? Yes, we have absolutely been affected. Not only have we not been able to get our hands on switches for a couple of recent projects that we've been working on, but, well, we were able to get our hands on the switches, but we had to pay a premium for them. So we had to pay like, 20 or 30% higher than MSRP to get those switches. And so we ended up not making a ton of money on those. But it's not just the switches. We're also having a problem with the G3 cameras. So the G3 cameras are completely out of stock everywhere you look right now, too. Actually, they're supposed to be back in stock today, the G3 cameras everywhere. But again, I don't know, and I haven't heard anything on that. That was just the ETA. So yeah, that has been a bigger problem for us than the switches. The cameras have been a big problem. John Whitehouse asks, when are the Nano HDs going to be available? That's another great question. I don't know when they're going to be available, but if you, I have seen some recent tweets. I know Robert Pera, he's the CEO of Ubiquiti. He put out a tweet that showed the skins. So the skins are starting to come in. It showed the packaging for them and everything. And I have word out to Ubiquiti, and I'm hoping that they're going to send me a Nano HD or two to play with, like as soon as they're ready, plus the skins. I told them to send it to me as soon as they can, and I will put a video out very quickly on those when I get them. Daniel Wright says, I just received my EdgeRouter X yesterday. Have you done any videos on actually using the WAN plus 2 LAN? I probably, but if I did, they are going to be very, very old, and things have changed a lot since then. Oh, Max from Italy, hello. And we have Specialist. I think that's how, if I'm reading my Elite Speak correct, that is Specialist from Belgium. Greetings. Andres from Hungary, welcome. Mark writes, do you prefer the UniFi switch or the Edge switch? So it really depends. In most cases, I just prefer the UniFi switch because there aren't a ton of deployments where you need to take advantage of the advanced features of the Edge switch. I personally run an Edge switch in my network as the core. It's an Edge switch Lite 24, but I also have a number of UniFi switches. I have 2 of the US 8 60 watts in use, and I have 1 of the US 8 150 watts in use, and I use all of those every single day. Okay, oh, here's Winston. He needed help earlier. Have a network, and I want to add bandwidth limitation and expropriation date on it. I guess you mean expiration date. The setup has Rocket Dish plus Rocket AC Lite for backbone, Lightbeam AC, AP, customers using NanoStation M5. So bandwidth limitation, can you do bandwidth limitation in the Nano station. I'm not sure if you can. I'm getting it confused with Cambium network. So Cambium networks, you can do bandwidth limitation very easily right in the device. But I don't remember if you can do bandwidth limitation in the Nano station. And I'm guessing that you mean a per client bandwidth limitation, right? So I don't think that's possible with NanoStation. You would probably have to just run a VLAN that is bandwidth limited through the NanoStation and then have clients connect to that specific VLAN, and then they would be limited to whatever speed you set that VLAN to in Unify. As far as expiration date, that's going to be a function of likely your captive portal and the authentication mechanism that you're using in the captive portal. So for instance, if you're using Radius to authenticate via the captive portal, there's probably a way to set expiration date in there. I'm not an expert on captive portals. We have folks that do captive portals for us because we don't do a lot of that work, and it's I personally don't like using captive portals. Okay, so let me move on to another question here. Okay, oh, and this was an interesting one. Let's see, is this working? Yeah, okay. So, I don't like my picture down here at the bottom. I'm going to try to scroll that off of there. There we go. Okay, I don't like myself looking at me. All right, so Sam Queen, this isn't really a question, but he had some good tips that I thought that I wanted to share on the stream here. So Sam Queen says, if you live in a large city, go to Goodwill. I got a good mouse and keyboard for $3. Dirt cheap, and you can find basic tech in pretty good condition. HDMI will allow you to connect to your TV with no trouble at all. If you save your old phones or cameras, there's a chance you may have disregarded an old micro SD card. Go to raspberrypi.org to learn how to install Noobs. So, really good points from Sam, and I don't really... You know, the videos that I do on this channel, I mean, I have brand new equipment and I'm buying stuff all the time, but a lot of people are on a budget, right? So there's really good tips that he said for people that are on a budget. You can get, like Craigslist or eBay, if you can get really good deals on hardware. In fact, I wish Brandon was on this stream. One of our guys, Brandon Yarbrough, he does very, very well. He's in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and he's gotten so many good deals on servers that, you know, a company will go out of business and they liquidate all their servers. So it's like a year or two old, you know, 1U and 2U rack mount servers that are, you know, dual Xeon with 32 gigs of RAM and stuff. And he's picking them up for like $100 a pop. And like, that's really, really good pricing. And you can either, you know, utilize them for something or resell them and actually make a profit. And so, yeah, that's a really good point, and there's a lot of really good ways to get cheap computer equipment. Goodwill is a decent way to do it, but I feel like that gets picked through pretty quick. Craigslist is a good way, as long as you're quick. You have to be checking Craigslist very regularly. eBay, not so much, because there's so many people that are shopping on eBay, and you can ship, you know, nationally or internationally, so not as much good stuff on eBay. But it is out there. I mean, garage sales. Like, look at your local garage sales, and if anyone lists that they have computer equipment, go visit that garage sale, see what they've got. You know, you might have an estate sale where someone bought a you know, bitchin' computer a year ago, and, you know, now they're just selling it off for dirt cheap. I think Brandon also just got like a like an Alienware 15 laptop that was only about a year or two old, and he picked that up for, I think it was like $50 or something. It was crazy. So yeah. If you guys have other tips for how to get cheap equipment, make sure you pop that into the chat here. Okay, let's see. Let's go to another question here. By the way, guys, super chats are enabled. If you do want to send me a beer or something like that, hit me up with a super chat, and I will be sure to answer any super chat questions that come through. You will get a priority. Okay, so let's try another one here. Okay, so, oh yeah, so I just did that IR video, and that was actually a fun video to do. I like that one a lot. I spent a ton of time on that video. You guys have no idea. I probably put 12 hours into that video, easily. You know, just doing that little, you know, less than 1 minute segment where I was outside walking around with the cameras. I mean, just that segment was probably 2 hours worth of work. No, I'm not even factoring the editing in. So that's probably 3 hours or more of work just for that little segment. But that was a fun video to do. So a couple of things about that video, and this is a question that I got a lot. Oh, wait, is this the question? Maybe this is not the question. Show us the external floodlight. Okay, so I will do a video on this guy. This is the IR illuminator. Here we go. So this is a separate IR light. So basically you turn off the IR of your cameras, and then we'll use this instead. It has a little sensor on it. Where's the sensor? I guess it's this. So it has a little sensor on it, so it automatically comes on and off when it gets dark enough. And I will put this outside. I'll probably put it like in a couple different positions. I'm gonna put a really big ladder. I've got like a 12-foot ladder. I will probably put it on top of a ladder above the lights, sort of pointing down a little bit, just so I can see if that works well. And then I will probably also just like put it on a long extension cord and just kind of walk around with it on camera and see how that looks. So if you guys have other ideas for how I can test this thing, pop those in the comments as well. Let's see, what else did he say? I'm going to install some G3s next month. I wonder if some of those lights will fix the problem. Okay, so that was that question. That's not the one I was looking for. Is it this one? Yeah, okay, so here we go. So Jason McMurray Films, and this is actually, I just picked this one, but I probably got this question. This is the most questions I got was this, or comments I said, or I should say. So thanks for the comparison. I'm curious if the cameras were powered on at the same time. Okay, so that was something that a ton of people asked. Probably 5 or 6 people asked that same question. And the answer is no. When I was doing the testing, the night vision testing, I only had a single camera powered on at a time. I actually meant to say that in the video, and I forgot. So I'm glad that everyone picked up the slack for me and asked that question. But no, I had just one camera. So when I was testing with the Pro, both of the other cameras that I was using were unplugged. Also in that video, I showed that I set up 2 cameras, but I ended up actually using 3 cameras because the first IR extender that I bought was defective. It's actually this one right here. It's bad. So I bought this guy. It came DOA. I'm going to have to RMA it or something. And so I didn't know if it was a problem with the G3 camera that I had or if it was a problem with this IR extender. So I bought a second G3 camera and I bought a second IR extender. This is, again, why this video took so long. It was probably 2 hours of troubleshooting this piece of crap IR extender before I figured out that it was bad, and it cost me the money of another camera and another IR extender. So I ended up going with 3 cameras. I don't even know if you can see this outside. It might not be possible to see that. Let's see. There's 1, 2, 3 cameras outside, or maybe it's 1, 2, 3. I don't know. Anyways, I have 3 cameras outside right now. So I have 2 G3s, and one of the G3s has the IR extender, one does not, and then I have the UVC G3 Pro. Okay, so that's how I ended up testing, and when I was testing, I only had one of those on at any given time. So anyways, that answers that question. And again, I just, listen, I try to put as much information into the videos as possible. Sometimes I forget. Okay, so we had a super chat come in. All right, let's switch over to here. Whoops, switch over to here. Okay, TN Bighorn, $10 super chat. Thank you so much. Chris, I'm trying to set up a BLF key to monitor a company voicemail account on a Yealink T46S. I set up a BLF to that extension, but it will not indicate when a voice message is in their box. Any thoughts? Yes. So the BLF key that you need to set up is not BLF to that extension. You need to do a BLF to asterisk that extension. So star extension number. And then that will, that should work on the T46S. But that's a little pro tip there. So let me know if that works or not, and that should be able to monitor that mailbox. We do that all the time with, what's it called? Like shared mailboxes. So if you have a shared mailbox, just do a BLF to star and then the mailbox number, and that should show. So he says, I tried that and it didn't work. You know, again, in that case, I would have to actually see the setup and get in there and troubleshoot and try to figure it out for you. But yeah, you can contact me separately for that. All right, Kevin Boats writes, hey, Chris, Kevin from South Africa. Welcome. Welcome all. It must be late in South Africa. I hope you guys aren't out of water yet. Does Unify NVR support other camera manufacturers? Unify doesn't do a pan-tilt camera, so looking for a solution. So no, it does not, and that's probably one of the biggest failings of the Unify video solution, in my opinion, is that it's not, oh, I'm not going to remember what it's called. I think it's ONVIF, I believe is the, ONVIF. I think it's ONVIF support is sort of a standard, where cameras, like you can have like Blue Iris, like a third-party NVR software that can read any ONVIF compatible camera feed, okay? And so Ubiquiti cameras are not ONVIF supported. So basically you cannot use any other cameras on the UniFi video platform, and you cannot use UniFi cameras on any other platform other than UniFi Video, or UniFi Protect, as I hear they're calling it now. As of 2 days ago, they released an announcement talking about UniFi Protect, which is the new version of UniFi Video coming out. Okay, so Jonathan writes, are you still running your cord cutting setup? If so, can you do a review on how to set up the TiVo boxes? I am still doing, I am still a cord cutter, so to speak, but hang on one second. My wife is texting me something. I got to write her back. Sure. So I am still a cord cutter. I don't use the TiVo anymore, though. I got rid of the TiVo pretty quickly after I did the cord cutting. You know, when you do cord cutting, you're jumping into the abyss. You don't know what you need, what you're not going to need. And so I had thought that I would need the DVR. Turns out you don't need a DVR. I mean, there's not a lot of stuff that's coming in off the HD antenna that I wanted to watch and record. And then as soon as I got a smart TV, I got this Samsung smart TV that had all of the, you know, Netflix, Hulu, Plex, YouTube, you know, built into the TV. So I no longer needed the TiVo for that stuff, and I didn't need to record anything on the DVR. So I moved the TiVo to another room, to a television that needed that stuff, and I don't use it. But again, if given the chance again, I probably wouldn't have bought that TiVo. Okay, so let's see. What's the best way to view the UniFi NVR on your TV? Well, I mean, you would have to have a browser on the TV to open up UniFi Video to do that. I've done a little bit of work with the RTSP in UniFi Video, and it's a little flaky. But granted, I was testing it with this, you know, also flaky Raspberry Pi. So I haven't done too much RTSP stuff. Christoph from Germany, hello. Jay from Germany, hello, Christoph. Okay. Let's see. Nice to see you back live. Thanks, Judd. I appreciate it. Judd, are you the Judd that's on the Discord channel? Let me know. So Judd, or I should say the Discord channel, if you guys are interested in joining us, we have a ton of really fun conversation going on in Discord all the time. And you guys can see the link to join the Discord down below. Streamer mode is enabled. I wonder what that means. What's streamer mode? You guys, what's Discord streamer mode? Hang on, I'm going to bring this over here. I'll bring over my Discord right here to the front. Let's see. I don't think there's anything on here that I can't show. But it has this banner here. Streamer mode is enabled. Stay safe, friend. And I guess it has something to do with... I don't know. I don't know what streamer mode is. Interesting. Oh, there's people joining. Look at that. Joining the Discord. X-King, Eric the Red, Murdoch, Rubix 015. Look at all these people joining Discord. Welcome. Welcome, guys. Yeah, there's always lots of fun stuff going on in Discord, and we also just brought up this new room called Ubiquiti Support Help. So if you guys have Ubiquiti support questions or comments, just go ahead and go into there, and people are really helpful. They will, look, there's Judd right there. Yes, that is me. So Judd has been helping out with Ubiquiti support. We got a number of other folks on the Discord that help out with Ubiquiti support, and we just have a lot of fun over there. So I also post videos early in the Discord, sometimes. Not every video, but sometimes. How can I join? Winston, how can you join? You have to download Discord and then click on the link that's down in the description, and that will get you in there. John, cool seeing fellow Oregonian while I'm watching from Europe. Yeah, all right, man, that's cool. Let me put this back on this view. Yeah, whereabouts are you in Oregon? Jason from New Zealand. I've always wanted to go to New Zealand, probably like everyone else since I saw The Lord of the Rings. But I have been to Australia. I've been all over Australia. Not all over Australia. I've been to a lot of parts of Australia. I like Australia a lot. Christoph, $10 super chat. Thank you so much. Great videos, Chris. Keep it up. Excellent. Thank you very much. Not $10. That's 10 euros? 10 euros? Awesome. Thank you. John says from Hillsborough. Hillsborough, I believe, is outside of Portland, if I'm not mistaken. Nice area. Eric Larson's also from Oregon, near Sherwood. Hey, that's my last name. Sherwood, Oregon, also outside of Portland. Sherwood, Oregon's probably about an hour outside of Portland. We're going to be, I think, moving closer to Portland. That's our goal, is to move a little bit closer to Portland within the next, 3 to 5 years or so. I'm out here on the coast of Oregon, and boy, it's just, there's not a lot going on out here. So we once our kids are a little bit older, we're probably going to move to Portland. Henderson, Nevada, Luxembourg. Awesome, guys. All right, let me get to another question here. Let's see. Okay, so that was the... Oh, here's an interesting one. This is a basic question. So Frogmella Slob writes on the Raspberry Pi 3 Model B Plus PoE hat video. Frogmella writes, I wonder just what is PoE? So again, very basic question. I probably should have said something about that in the video if I didn't. And PoE just stands for Power over Ethernet. And what that means is, for instance, if you have a Raspberry Pi that is PoE enabled, excuse me, you don't need to power up the device with the USB, power adapter. You can use the Ethernet. Just the Ethernet cable will supply both the network and the power to the device. Same thing with a phone, anything like that. You don't need a separate power adapter. PoE utilizes one of the pair of wires in the network cable to actually supply power to the device. Okay, sometimes I forget about the basic stuff. You know what I mean? Like I work with PoE so much. I work with this kind of equipment so much. Sometimes I forget that not everyone is an expert. Not everyone knows the abbreviations that I use and stuff. So I should stop and think about that. My videos are... I would put them in the intermediate level, right? So they're not necessarily beginner videos. They're not expert videos. I try to find a good common ground in there. Okay, so Hostify. This was a really good point. Here, let me bring this up here. So Hostify writes, Raspberry Pi is a fun toy, but let's be real. By the time you buy the charger, SD card, and case, it's more expensive than a CloudKey. This, by the way, is on my Raspberry Pi Unify video. And significantly less reliable. I would recommend cloud-hosted VPS even just for personal use. It's cheaper than the electricity you will use running your own server at home, and much faster, more reliable than a Pi or CloudKey. So I agree and disagree with this. So I don't think having a hosted VPS, like especially if you're doing a $5 or $10 hosted VPS, I don't think it costs $5 or $10 to power a Raspberry Pi for a month. So it might. I don't know. I have never done the calculation. But he does bring up a good point that, the cost of this Raspberry Pi, not this one because this one has a video display on it, but just a regular Raspberry Pi with the case, the SD card, and the charger is about the same price as a CloudKey. So you are exactly right about that. I wouldn't, however, put a... And this is going to be a controversial statement, but I wouldn't put a network that you want to be reliable on either of those. I wouldn't use a CloudKey, nor would I use a Raspberry Pi. I certainly wouldn't use a Raspberry Pi because they have a tendency to go out. Case in point, this one's dead right now because the SD card just got corrupted out of the blue one day, and I haven't fixed it yet. But that tends to happen with Raspberry Pis. The SD card will just somehow get corrupted, and now you've just lost your Unify controller if you're using that as your Unify controller. The CloudKeys, I've seen very similar problems happen with the CloudKeys. They have electrical problems. The Mongo database gets corrupted very easily, and you have to restore from backup. We've seen that time and time again. Dave Barger, who was on the live stream earlier, will attest to that. He has fixed CloudKeys for numerous clients of ours that their CloudKey just stopped working, stopped responding one day. And so that's... it's sort of susceptible to the same type of thing. Now, Ubiquiti has a new CloudKey coming out. In fact, I have it right here because I was looking at it in the beta store yesterday. They have the CloudKey Gen 2 Plus. It's his early access, but I guess I can show this on the stream. I'm not testing it out or anything. This is just off their webpage. So this is their newer CloudKey that's going to be coming out. It's probably a little bit more powerful. It's meant to be kind of a CloudKey and NVR in one, which I don't know how well it'll function as that. But it certainly looks to be a little bit more reliable as far as just being a CloudKey, because it says a built-in battery provides protection against power loss. Okay, so it has a little bit of a battery in the device, which is kind of cool, but it's also a lot more expensive, right? So when we're doing a deployment, like if you guys remember the video that I did that was the South San Francisco Conference Center deployment, where we did, I think it was like 19 SHDs, and they also had captive portals and multiple VLANs and that sort of stuff. We did a small Atom-based half-depth 1U rack-mounted server for UniFi in that deployment, and it was like $400 or $500 for the server, but it's a much more stable and reliable solution than a CloudKey would be. And since it had a captive portal, we didn't want to do cloud hosted, because I personally have run into issues with cloud hosting captive portals and how quickly it authenticates users when they try to sign on to the captive portal. So take that for what you will. That's been my experience. And so when we have a large deployment that requires a captive portal, we put a small server on site. Greetings from Kenya. So we have South Africa and Kenya. Wonderful. Lots of people from Germany. You know what's funny is I was looking at my YouTube stats the other day, and Germany was, I think, my #2 country. It was like my #2, you know, the views that come in from US was #1, and Germany was actually second. So hello to all my German fans. Thank you so much. I'd love to visit Germany someday. It seems wonderful. Okay, so let's see. Jason McMurray Films. Hey, I mentioned you earlier, Jason McMurray Films. Chris, been purchasing UAP AC lights from UBNT, as I've seen reports on Amazon that some haven't gotten the 802.3 AF versions. Do you have an affiliate link known to deliver the AF versions? So that's a good question, and I don't know how you would find the AF version. I'm not sure, because I think it's the same model number, so you're kind of just basically up to whatever stock they have. Yeah, I do have an Amazon store. It's an Amazon influencer store. Somewhere it's in the links of my videos. I have it in the link of every video. Do I have it in the link of this video? I don't. So I don't have it in the link of this live stream. I will add it if I remember later. But there is I do have a store, an Amazon store, where if you click on that, and then if you click on any of the products in the Amazon store, as long as you're going through my referral page, you know, the Amazon influencer referral page, anything you buy in that session, I'll get credit for. It doesn't have to be something that I have specifically listed on that page. Okay, so thank you for the question. Adam Livingston writes, hey Chris, any tips for blocking spam calls in FreePBX? Caller ID Superfecta is likely a part, but what data source? Also, do more data sources equal slower? So no, I think caller ID lookups happen fast enough, sufficiently fast enough that, I mean, when you're talking about milliseconds to look up a caller ID, it doesn't matter really how big the database is if it adds 50% to the number of milliseconds that it takes to look that up. I mean, keep in mind that back in the old school analog days, caller ID wouldn't come through until in between the first and second ring of a phone call. So if that was acceptable to you, you'll certainly get caller ID faster than that, right? So it should be fine. As far as any tips for blocking spam calls, it really depends, I guess. Do the spam calls have a caller ID? I mean, if they have a valid caller ID, there's not a lot you can do other than when they call in, you can blacklist them. I did a video called Send Telemarketers to Hell. And if you watch that video, it's about how to utilize a custom blacklist where basically you can, the way that I set it up was you transfer calls to 666, so transfer them to hell. And then when you transfer them to that number, it blacklists their DID and sends them to Lenny at the same time. So it was a really great little trick. And so watch that video, Send Telemarketers to Hell, and that will help you out there. The other thing that you can do is you can turn on, in your FreePBX inbound route, there's a privacy tab in the details, and the privacy tab allows you to block, not block, but if a call comes in without caller ID, or if it's anonymous or unlisted or anything like that, it sends them to a separate thing that has them input a caller ID. and then, you know, it won't let them into your IVR until it's input, until you have received a valid caller ID, you know, or 10 digits or however many digits from the caller. But if it's a robocall, they're not going to be able to input those digits. So those calls will never hit your PBX. I hope that sufficiently answers your question. Okay. Hi, Chris. Got any recommendations for deploying a wireless camera to connect to my Ubiquiti access point? I was hoping Ubiquiti would make one, or I would need to deploy a point-to-point and hardware a Ubiquiti camera. So that is a great question. There's a couple ways to do it. So if you're outdoors, you're kind of hosed. Ubiquiti does not have an outdoor camera that is Wi-Fi enabled. They do have the, I don't have one sitting right here. They have the UVC Micro, UVC G3 Micro. The UVC G3 Micro is wireless. However, it's indoor only. And I really don't like running cameras over wireless anyways. I like having them wired. But then the only other way to do it, and by the way, that UVC Micro is really expensive. It's cheaper to have a G3 with a Nano station, like a Nano M5 or M2. But yeah, let's see. Yeah, so that was my other thing, is just do a point-to-point with the Nano station and then, you know, power the camera off the back end of it. So the Nano station, like here's the Nano station AC. It's got this secondary port that can do PoE pass-through. And the UVC G3 AF can do either 24-volt passive or 802.3 AF PoE power. Okay. Mars Bar mentioned on one of his vlogs the other day about wanting to do more collaborations with YouTubers. How about a Mars Bar Crosstalk solution collab install of Unify setup? I like Mars Bar a lot. I follow him on YouTube, and I have spoken with him briefly back and forth. So he originally found me because of my Unify videos, and had sent me some kind words about, hey, thanks for the videos, and, you know, I love your videos and that sort of stuff. So I was really happy to hear that. I was not aware of him until he actually sent me that that note, and then I started following him, and man, the guy's got like 1 million followers almost, and maybe more than that. I don't even know. I haven't checked his subscriber count. But yeah, listen, hey, I would love to do a collab with Mars Bar. I think he's a great dude. I think he's a really positive guy, and he has a lot of positive energy. I think that's really cool. And yeah, I mean, the thing is, you know, he is a humongous YouTuber, and I am very small by comparison. So I would be shocked if he was interested in doing any sort of collab. But yeah. You know, the other thing about Mars Bar, man, I don't know how he does it, dude. You'd have to be, because he's in his 20s, I imagine you kind of just have to have that energy to do the daily vlogs. I mean, it must take him 3 to 4 hours a day just to edit his daily vlogs, not to mention, you know, rendering and uploading to YouTube, and then putting all the little bits and pieces like SEO and keywords and thumbnail and all that stuff on YouTube. You know, it takes so much effort to do that stuff. And then not only that, but also just film everything that you're doing all day, and keeping in mind, you know, transitions and B-roll and having, you know, all that stuff. I guess, like anything, you get better at it with practice, but man, the amount of time and dedication it takes to do a daily vlog, I cannot imagine. I just can't imagine it. That's insane. Irfan, welcome. I believe Irfan is from Pakistan, if I'm not mistaken. Chris, the wireless camera question. You could also use a range extender, which are cheap, and use its LAN port to connect the camera. I don't know which range extender you're talking about, but yeah. Range extender. You mean like a repeater? I guess you could, but I mean, if you're gonna do a repeater, I would rather just make it, because a repeater's not a really solid solution. I would prefer to do a point-to-point link with a pair of like these M5s, M2s even. M2, I think, you know, it's like $81 or something for a NanoStation M2. Just get a pair of those, point-to-point, put your camera on the other side. Okay, let me go back to my questions here. Let's see. Where was I? Okay, so this one I just thought was funny. Oh man, I gotta bring up OBS again. How come I can't hotkey switch between scenes? Oh, I can. Oh, it did work. Okay. Can you do a comparison of all these UVC cams microphones, please? Avocado Atrocity writes. And no, I'm not gonna do that because I got a lot of crap for the wired headset video that I did. It's hard to record audio for comparison and put that onto YouTube, okay? Because you don't know what people are listening to their YouTube on. Oh, look, there, and at the same time, Avocado Atrocity, right when I did that, he also did a super chat. So welcome. I'm answering your question right now. I'm not going to do a comparison of microphones because it's just not a fair comparison. You don't get a real life, you can't hear it the way that I hear it on YouTube because I don't know what device you're listening on. YouTube probably compresses the audio, so it's just not going to be a fair comparison. So I'm not going to do that. Like I said, I got such a backlash when I did that wired headset video that everyone's like, oh, it sounds like crap. And I've got a wireless headset video coming out very soon too. I'm actually finishing it off today. But so many people complained about the audio quality, and it's just like, yeah, what do you expect? Like, just take it with a grain of salt, you know what I mean? Like, it's just compare the audio quality as you're hearing it, and then understand that when you are actually talking to someone on the phone over one of these headsets, it's going to sound a little bit better. It's going to sound like a regular phone conversation, and then you know, compare the quality with that in mind, I guess. Anyways, so how are the UVC microphones? Is there any latency? Good question. There is going to be some latency. It depends on two things. Number one, your network connection, right? Like, are you trying to view a camera remotely, like through the app, or are you on the same LAN, right? Because there's going to be a big difference in latency there. And then even on the same LAN, I find that if you're using the live view, so the actual live view function in Unify Video, the latency is a lot less. The sound latency is a lot less than if you're clicking on live feed of the camera from the devices list. So for some reason, the devices list is way more latent than the live view. I don't know why that is, but it just is. So take that for what it is worth. James Wright, hey, do you have any other experience with security cameras other than Ubiquiti? No, not a ton. And again, it's one of those things that I'd like to. I mean, a lot of people have mentioned the Hikvision cameras are very good and cost effective. I've heard Dahua cameras are very good. Axis cameras are very good and have a lot of features, but are way more expensive. So there's a lot of ways you can go with the cameras. I've really only delved into Ubiquiti because I like Ubiquiti. I mean, I like their stuff. And eventually I would like to do reviews of other cameras, but you guys, you got to understand how long it takes to produce these videos. I mean, it's not like something like if I get 2 videos out a week, it's a miracle, because it takes literally so much time. I'm telling you, that night vision video I did with the 3 cameras all together was probably about 12 hours worth of work. And so anyways, so yes, I would like to, but no, I have not historically done that in the past. Oh, is that all the questions I had? Oh, I thought I got more questions than that. Nope, I did not. Okay, so I will leave it up to your guys' questions. How long has this stream been going? 48 minutes? All right, my voice is feeling crappy right now, so I don't know how much longer I'm going to go on this live stream. I will hit at least an hour, and then we will shut her down. So if you guys have questions, let's go ahead and ask those now, and I will try to get to them as I can. And of course, super chat questions, I will give priority to. So Unify Video in the rain, how can I block the water from triggering the recording? I don't think you can. At least if you can, I have not been able to do that. So you can put the timer up, like I set my motion trigger to 2 seconds, and that helps a little bit. But if you've got constant rain and you've got that IR lights on at night and stuff, it's going to trigger. Same thing with bugs, which is actually an interesting thing. A lot of people brought up the point that if you use the external IR illuminator and not the one on the camera, the bugs are going to be attracted to this guy and not the camera. So you get a lot of less false positives from bugs flying around if you're not using the IR on the cameras, but instead using an external IR illuminator. So that's an interesting point as well, because bugs and rain and wind all trigger the motion in those Ubiquiti cameras. I had that, where was that NVR? There was a, oops, nope, that's not it. Where's my editor I just had up? One second. Okay, so if we go back to here for a second, I want that new CloudKey. So Unify Protect, I looked up what Unify Protect was, and Unify Protect is the new version of Unify Video. And one of the features of Unify Protect says that it has a better algorithm for motion detection. And so I'll be interested in testing that out to see if it reduces the number of false positives. But it can be pretty bad. I mean, especially if you don't have any zones set up and you're filming some trees or something, you're gonna get a lot of false positive just from wind blowing leaves around on the trees and stuff. So Daniel from Germany says, do you have any information about the USG supports IKE version 2 VPN and not only L2TP for side to end? Now, I don't have any information about that. I haven't looked into the... as far as I know, USG only does L2TP. It might do PTP? What's the other one? PTPP? Anyways, it might do that one too, but that one's insecure. How about more PBX stuff? Yes, finally, right? I need to get back to some PBX stuff because they have a new version. I never finished my last series on free PBX. I would like to do some more free PBX videos. I want to do entirely new, PPTP. Thank you, point-to-point tunneling protocol. So I would like to do some more videos on free PBX. In fact, I have it on my short list of videos to do. So I'll tell you guys my short list of videos right now. I've got a video on wireless headsets that I'm setting up. I've got it actually set up right next to me. I've got that halfway finished. I just have to shoot some B-roll and then edit it. So that's almost done. I've got a video half finished on these the new version of the Nano Station. So the Nano Station 5ACs. That video is halfway done, almost finished. I talked about the video for the what's it called? My new computer build. I talked about that earlier, and that video I'm gonna scrap. I'm not actually gonna do that video. I have a video that I've started on for the Amplify Teleport. So here is the Amplify Teleport. I will be doing a video on that coming up here really soon. I've tested it out. It works well. I do have my concerns about it, so you guys will stay tuned for that video, and I will tell you all about it. And then what other videos do I... And then I think that's it. Once I've kind of gotten those cleared out, I will be doing a brand new free PBX series. And, and my Edge Router 4s. So I've got an Edge Router 4 and an Edge Router 6P. Still in the box. I have not opened them yet. I need to do videos on these too. And then if Ubiquiti sends me the Nano HDs, I'll do videos on those real quick. Who else was... Oh, funny story. So when I was on vacation in Mexico a couple weeks ago, and the resort in Mexico had... And thank you guys for the Super Chats. I will get to your Super Chats in just a second, but I did want to tell this story first. So... I was at this resort, and it had really, really good Wi-Fi. So I ran some scans, and I figured out that they were using Ruckus networks as their Wi-Fi, which I've been to other hotels that use Ruckus, and the Wi-Fi is always really, really good with Ruckus. Now, Ruckus is pretty expensive. They're pretty damn expensive. But, you know, I like to give credit where credit is due, and I put a tweet out to @RuckusWireless saying, hey, you know, the Wi-Fi in this hotel is great. You know, it's Ruckus access points, blah, blah, blah. So if you guys aren't following me on Twitter, @CrosstalkSOL is the Twitter handle you can follow. So I put that tweet out, and I had tagged @RuckusWireless, and it turns out that the @RuckusWireless Twitter handle is not the right Twitter handle for Ruckus Networks. It's actually @Ruckus Networks. And so the @RuckusWireless Twitter handle is like some sort of like ebook on how to seduce women or something like that. And they just grabbed the Ruckus Wireless handle and they were using it. And so I then subsequently put out a second tweet that said something about like, I guess Ruckus Wireless is not @Ruckus Networks, and, you know, some, you know, snarky comment about that. Anyways, because of that, Ruckus Networks said, thank you for pointing out the bad Twitter handle at Ruckus Wireless. And they said, you know, we'll get that fixed. We'll get that addressed right away. So they're going to do whatever they have to do to, you know, make sure that Twitter takes down that bad handle. And so I wrote them back after they said that, and I said, hey, great, can you send me some free stuff since I pointed that out for you? Right? Which, you know, hey, it never hurts to ask, right? And so it led to, you know, they don't do their own social media. They've got a company that does their social media. But that person said, hey, let me just get in touch with Ruckus, and I'll see what I can do. The next day, they got back to me, and they said, yeah, we'd love to send you some stuff. And so now I'm getting some Ruckus Wireless access points. And I was able to speak to their senior product manager for wireless. This is the Unleashed line of devices where you've got the Ruckus Wireless access point and the controller for the access point, as well as up to a whole bunch of other access points, is inside the access point. You just set one of them as the master, and it has all of the settings for all of the rest of your access points. It also has something called Zero Touch Mesh, where you can literally take another Ruckus access point and just plug it in to power. Okay, not plug it into the network, just plug it into power, and it detects the MAC address and adds it to the mesh network. You can like approve it on the mesh network without actually having to like first plug in to the network and then, you know, provision it and then unplug it, and now it's a mesh access point. So some really, really cool features, including some like internal antenna stuff that they let me in on, because I asked them the question, you know, why are your the senior product manager at Ruckus, on the phone with them, I said, why are your access points so much more expensive than something like Ubiquiti? And they answered that question for me, and they answered it sufficiently to where I was like, oh, really? Oh, wow. And so we will put all of that in a Ruckus Wireless video. They're sending me a R710 access point and 2 R310 access points. So hopefully whenever I get those, I will do a video on those as well. Okay, so let's go back to these super chats. James Calvano, $10 super chat. Thank you so much. Thanks for answering my question. Keep up the good work. Love your content. Thank you so much. Okay. Mark Doring writes, boy, my voice is starting to hurt. On USG Pro, I have several port forward rules set up. Under Insight's port forward stats, I don't see any info for byte count or packet count. Ideas. That is interesting. I have not heard of that. I wonder if you have to have DPI enabled for that to work. I don't know why you would have to, but I wonder if that's the case. I would try turning on DPI and see if that changes the stats that are coming out of there. Anyways, thank you. $5 super chat, Mark. Thank you so much. Are you still really bad at PUBG? Yes. Yes, I am, Jay. But not only am I really bad at PUBG, now I am really bad at PUBG in full ultra settings on my new PC. So I actually just played this morning. I felt like playing around this morning. I played around this morning and got killed. But it looks beautiful now while I'm getting killed. Okay, Blake Overson, $10 super chat. Thank you so much for that. Would you recommend a 24-volt 1 amp power adapter to power an Edge Router X and a UAP AC light on a 4 PoE without the PoE injector on either device? So Blake, if I'm not mistaken, I believe you have to use the 1 amp power injector in order to power up a device out of the secondary port or the PoE out port on the Edge Router X. I don't think it works with the included power adapter. I think you have to upgrade to the 1 amp PoE injector, if I'm not mistaken. I have all of that stuff here, so maybe I'll test that. That is actually a really good test. Okay, so let's see. Excited to see the Ruckus videos. Yeah, I am too. I'm really excited to sort of start playing around with a different. I mean, I'm not gonna say a different. Well, I guess it's a different level of Wi-Fi, because it's you get into Ruckus and Ruckus and what's the other one that Cisco bought? Meraki. You get into Ruckus and Meraki and Cisco and those access points. You're kind of at like the top like enterprise level access points, and you're paying enterprise level prices too. Sean Luke says more Power Duster review videos. Hey, listen, I love that Power Duster, man. A lot of people were like, thumbs down, you're just a shill for Amazon or whatever. But you know what? I love that thing. I use it all the time. I get so much more use out of that power duster than I thought I was going to. I use it all the time. Anyways. Yes, Aruba too. You're correct. So Chandler Johnson, $10 super chat. Thank you so much. Hey, question. Looking for the best RV Wi-Fi solution. Having a heck of a time trying to do research and have been looking at Ruckus, Cisco, Ubiquiti, and Cambium. Just want the best customer experience. So Chandler, are you saying you want a Wi-Fi solution for an RV park? Or are you talking about a Wi-Fi solution for like your RV when you park at an RV park and you want to be able to pick up the park's Wi-Fi? Because those are two different things. If you're talking about the like providing Wi-Fi for an RV park, kick butt Wi-Fi for an RV park. Okay, so that is what you're talking about. Here's the problem. We've done RV parks in the past. Here's the problem with the RV park is that a lot of people's, RV is a big metal box, okay? So the signal, the RVs themselves that are parked in the RV park do a really good job of blocking their own Wi-Fi. So it is an interesting situation when you are installing in an RV park, but we have successfully done Ubiquiti deployments, Ubiquiti mesh deployments, wired and mesh deployments in RV parks. But if you have the budget and you are going to, and you want, as you say, kick-ass Wi-Fi in your RV park, honestly, I would probably do something like Ruckus Networks. Get their outdoor access points, and it's going to be pretty damn bulletproof. Again, wait for my Ruckus video. There's some technology in the Ruckus access points that do make a difference versus something like Ubiquiti. And I will explain that in great detail when I get those access points and do a video on them. The other thing that you can do is offer to your, well, I don't know. So there are some people that have an RV and they wire a like a nano station or like even just like an M2 loco on the outside of their RV and then wire it in. So you can suggest to people, if you're talking to people in the RV park and they're always like, man, I just can't pick up Wi-Fi, you can suggest something like that. Get an RV, get a nano station, put it on the outside of your RV, pick up the signal, and then run it into the inside of the RV, and that will work a lot better, inside the actual RV. When would that Ruckus video come out? That's a good question. I don't know. I wouldn't count on it anytime closer than a month from now because I haven't even received the access points, and then once I receive them, I have to actually set them up and really run them through their paces. I use the unified control. Okay, so Daniel Anselstetter. Daniel Anselstetter says, I use the unified controller in an Ubuntu virtual machine on my server. I can't imagine it's because of that, but why can't I see all clients on the controller? Why can't you see all of your clients on the controller? Like wired or wireless clients? You should be able to see all your clients on the controller, unless you've got some sort of filter on or something that's like, block. Maybe you're only seeing the 2.4 gigahertz clients and not both 2.4 and 5 gigahertz or something like that. I don't know. Okay, so that would be my guess is just check your filters, make sure you're actually seeing everything. Irfan, Chris, have you done or plan to do a video on site-to-site VPN? I've planned to do a video on that for a long time, but honestly, like, I don't know, I'm getting kind of tired of USG videos, and there's so many other YouTubers that are doing USG videos now that I want to just do stuff that's different. There are other people that have done point-to-point, site-to-site USG videos. I would rather do more exciting stuff. I'll tell you one thing. So one of my guys, David Varger, is just getting into or has become certified in LTE stuff. Okay, so we're going to be doing, hopefully soon, some LTE videos, LTE video content along with everything else that we're doing. So that'll be interesting. I'm very curious to start getting into some of the new like failover options, like WAN failover on LTE and stuff like that. And so he's been big into that, and yeah, that's also coming soon, hopefully. I want these guys, like I said, David does great work, and he can put out some good videos. So, okay, well, guys, we're getting towards the end. It's been 1 hour and 5 minutes. I think I'm gonna have to call it because my voice is hurting right now. So I'm gonna have to call it quits for the day. Thank you guys, everyone, so much for joining the live stream. I'm glad I was able to finally get back to live streaming after a 3-month hiatus because of that content strike. And I'd love if you start doing automation stuff. I would like to start doing automation stuff, like with Raspberry Pis. In fact, I was just thinking about that because I just bought a greenhouse for my yard. Out here in the Oregon coast, it's very hard to grow tomatoes out in the out in the open. So I bought a greenhouse. I just set up a greenhouse. I spent the last 2 weekends putting in a greenhouse. And I was thinking of automation for the greenhouse, like using a Raspberry Pi to maybe measure temperature, using a Raspberry Pi to automate, lights coming on and off, stuff like that. Yeah, I'm interested in that stuff. So if I do start getting into that stuff, I will absolutely do videos on it. Okay, guys, my voice is shot. Thanks so much for joining, and hopefully I will get back to more and more live streams. I'd like to do a regular live stream, twice a month or something like that. So I can't promise anything because my schedule always changes, but lots of exciting stuff coming. Thank you guys all so much for being subscribers. I think we're close to like 67,000 subscribers now. It's amazing to me. So thank you guys all so much for being subscribers. Thanks to everyone who did a super chat. And yeah, I'll try to update the links below for Amazon store and that sort of stuff. But again, hope you guys all have a great long weekend in the United States. It's Memorial Day weekend this weekend, so everyone has Monday off. So if you're in the U.S., have a great long holiday weekend. Be safe. If you're not in the U.S., have a great weekend anyways. And thank you so much for being subscribers. Jay Williams, for your tea. Thank you so much. $5 super chat. That is for my voice. Let me give him credit here. There we go. For your tea. I will probably have to go get some tea right after this. All right, guys. Thanks so much. Live stream is over. We will talk to you again soon.